Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at something that is so new it's not really even on the FamilySearch official page yet on the web, but it's from the little bit of testing that I've done with it and showing it to other people, it's been really well received, and I'm sure that it's going to be a product that will become a permanent feature of FamilySearch in the near future. We're going to talk about Family Ordinance Opportunities. That's the new name for it. And so what we'll talk about today is what this program is and how it functions. I'll give you some tips and suggestions about when you use it. And we'll talk a little bit about reservations and not getting too crazy about that. A little bit about etiquette. And then we'll do some demonstrations of some situations with it to show you, especially the ones where things don't go quite like you'd like it to. Okay, so what is Family Ordinance Opportunities? Essentially, it's a fan chart that's been developed to really help you focus in and find ordinances for your ancestors. Okay, it provides a listing for the descendants of each of your ancestors, and it'll tell you on that list the people who are ready or almost ready to be reserved. And who's this for? Well, there's one catch to it, one caveat, that you really need a tree that's full, or at least a partially full tree. Part of your tree needs to be able to go back 6, 7 generations and have at least one or more generations of descendants. If you don't have a tree, it's not going to work. If you have a tree, the more tree you have, the easier it works. And how many descendants are reviewed? There is no limit on ancestors. It'll take you back as far as you want to go back, but coming down from whoever you pick to be the beginning point for the showing of descendants, it'll come down 4 generations at a time. And then if you want to see more, there's a way to do that, and we'll show you that. And then there's little numbers in green circles on this particular fan chart. And those numbers represent supposedly the approximate number of descendants of the couple who have incomplete or nearly ready to reserve ordinances. Now, I think one of the reasons there's a disconnect between the number and what you will see is that you're only going to see down 4 generations. And this number, I think, will take you all the way down to the present. So if it says there's 100, you're never really ever going to see 100, because some of those will be people that are more recent. And so I've kind of explained that here. According to their official comments, they say the results you see are filtered. You should only see those who have at least one source, no possible duplicates that are known, and are over 110 years old. Now, that's not always true in every case, because I have seen descendancies where people are inside the 110-year rule. So it doesn't always work that way. Plus, you got to realize this is pre-FamilySearch lab material, so it's going to have some issues in it. And there may be occasional times when it's not available. So if you log into it and it doesn't come up, wait a little while, try again, and you'll probably be able to use it. Okay, using it. Essentially, once you sign into it, which you will find at this URL, and you're going to have to use this URL. There's no other way to get to it that I know of at this point. So it's at familysearch.org/en, which means English, /campaign/family-ordinance-opportunities. And remember, if you don't get this written down while you're watching this in time, you can always go to our videos and watch it again. and we'll show you a way to get a link to a PDF of the slides that you're seeing. So you use that link, and what I do is I've saved it to my favorites. So now I can just go to it anytime I want by just going to my favorites on my browser and pulling it up. But this is what will come up after you sign in. And this chart has these little numbers, and they're in between the couple that are on the chart. So they're between a husband and a wife. And they're telling you how many people in that descendancy might have an opportunity for you to take a name to the temple. Okay, so that's what you find in the circles. You can go, and this is like a normal fan chart. If you want to rearrange the chart, you can pick somebody on here and go to their little fan chart on their box and move them to the primary position on the screen. And then it'll show their ancestors. And doing that, you can work yourself back in time as far as you want to go. You can also switch over to your spouse if you have an undivorced spouse by just clicking on your spouse's link at the bottom of the screen, and it'll show you their pedigree chart. And you're able to do those names yourself now because since they redid all the relationship information back in January, you now show related to your spouse's family, your undivorced spouse's family. You can also, as a last opportunity here, just pick the ID for anybody in the tree and go to them. Remember, you're not going to be able to reserve anything unless you happen to be related to the people you're picking from. So it's not going to do you any good to just go any place. You need to go somewhere in the tree where you're related to the person that you're putting on there. Okay, so now after you click on that little circle, a screen's going to pop up, and at the top of it's going to look something like this. It's going to tell you in real small print the name of the couple that you're starting with. In this case, Anna Maria Fischel and John Mummert. It's then going to show you the ordinance status that you're set for right now. And the default is you're looking at any ordinances that are in their descendancy that are available. And if you click on that, you're going to see a filter, and we'll be talking about that on the next slide. You also can open this up in a new tab if you want to save prior screens. You can open up in a separate tab. And so it begins with the first of the 4 generations, which are the parents, the people that you picked on. In this case, they're both complete. Then it shows you their children and spouses. And I believe they had about 10 kids because there were 19 people that are completed. And so you're not going to see them because when it shows all ordinances, it's only going to show people that have ordinances that are ready or people who are showing that they need more information. So in this case, 19 were completed and 1 is reserved but shared ready. In other words, it's one of these that has been shared with the temple in the children's level. And then below there, you would start seeing individuals in a list. And so what I've done is I've just selected 4 to show you the various different things you're going to see when you're under any ordinance. And so what you're going to see here is you will see some green temples such as Gladys, who shows temples that are pure green, which means they're ready for reservations right now. You will see some like Nicholas has here with the clock, meaning they're ready to reserve. Somebody else has shared them with the temple. You may see some dark blue, which is names or reservations that you have reserved already. And so in this case, I've already reserved most of Frida's work except for her sealing to spouse. And over here on Gladys, I've done her sealing to parents. Over here on Gladys, I've reserved her sealing to spouse, but I haven't done her yet, haven't reserved her yet. And then you'll see what they call yellow and I call orange, which are the needs more information people. So you will see some of them. And then you'll see boxes after each person. And the request ones are on the people who have ordinances that can be requested. So if you click request, it'll take you to the screen where you can do the requesting. Or in the case of Eleanor, where she has some that are needing more information, you can click view details and it'll take you to her ordinances and allow you to see why it's yellow. It's really fairly simple. And in this level, where you're only showing the people that need ordinances, it's essentially the descendancy chart minus all the people that are done, which makes it really nice because you don't have to filter through hundreds and hundreds of people that are already done. You are able to focus in on the people that need something done, in this case, either ordinances to do or records that need to be checked for a reason or another. Okay. So also, when you're looking at the people there, if you click on Eleanor's name, you'll go to the little screen that comes up where you can pick to either see her person page or her pedigree, or you see the little symbol there, which represents descendants. I can go to Eleanor's descendants and start a whole new 4-generation chart of descendants by clicking on that little symbol. And we'll show you how that can be useful. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about those filters. Okay, I've shown you here where Jacob Mummert and Elizabeth Stump have at least 100 descendants, supposedly. So right now it's set for any ordinances. If I click on that, I get this drop down. It can be changed to all family members. What that in effect does is it undoes the good that this program has done by filtering out all the finished people and showing you only the ones that aren't finished with the ordinances, and puts all the finished ones back in the list in case you should want to see how much of this descendancy is already done. Now that's what all family members represents. The default is any ordinances, but you can pick any specific ordinance. So let's say you want to do an endowment and you don't have an endowment available for you. Okay, you click on endowment, and immediately what it does is it goes to the list for Jacob and Elizabeth, and it finds that there are 16 people in that list that need their endowment done. They're at the point where the endowment's the next ordinance to do. It's not just anybody that has an endowment to do, it's the ones where the next ordinance to do is the endowment. And you don't see that here because I cut it off to be able to blow this up. Now, as soon as you've clicked endowment, though, you also get a secondary filter. You can leave it for all, which would give you all 16, both male and female, or you can pick which one you want. And so in this case, if I clicked male, it would then go from 16 ordinances, in this case, down to 7. And it would show me all the people that needed, males that needed an endowment next. And in this case, all the ones that you're seeing have already been reserved by somebody else and shared with the temple. But that's okay because you can grab those and do them. Okay, some tips and advice. First thing, where can you use this? And that's important to know. Right now, because it's in an experimental stage, you're not going to be able to find it on any apps or anything like that. And it's best to use it on something that has a large screen. So a desktop, a laptop, or a large tablet are the devices that they recommend you use. They don't recommend you try this on your phone. Okay. And it's not currently, like I said, it's not found in the Tree app or any other FamilySearch app. So it's not an app product at this point anyway. You have to use the web to access it through the link that I showed you on the earlier screen. Okay, the other thing to really need to be considered is not going reservation crazy. The purpose of this app is to help as many members as possible to find ancestors in need of temple ordinances. Because so many church members connect to the same ancestors and descendants lines, there's some guidelines they'd like us to follow. First, only request ordinances you can use soon. That's been in effect for a long time now. We've been asked that for several years to try to limit how many things we reserve to those that we can use soon. And avoid requesting large numbers and sharing them with the temple. There's going to be other people that use this product and other products that are out there. You don't have to save the world. You don't need that attitude. You can actually leave names there, and don't worry, they will be found in the near future. And really, it's more fun for people if they actually find the ones that are needing to be reserved rather than just taking other people's already reserved and shared names. There's a big difference between the two. And so we take a lot of fun away from other people discovering names that haven't been reserved yet by reserving them all. So, be conscious of other people and their desires and needs too. And also, rather than just sharing with your family group, why don't you teach your family group members to use this product? Okay, and then also consider others and that they want to find their ancestors needing work, which I've talked about. Okay, so enough said about that. I'll get off my high horse and we'll talk about some concerns about the people that are here. Because not everybody on this list is going to be a good candidate right now for ordinance work. You've got to be aware of duplicates, and you do have to understand FamilySearch doesn't find all the duplicates. There's a lot of them out there that you have to uncover. Okay, and so when you see people like Obadiah here, who has no data, just the word deceased, make sure, A, that they actually exist. Find them on some sources before you even consider submitting them. Can't submit him yet anyway, because he has no birth or death dates or marriage date, obviously. So therefore, he's not going to be able to be reserved. But at this point, you're not even sure if he even exists. So verify who the person is. Try to identify him better and understand the basic policy, or not policy, process. The more information you put on Obadiah, the more people you link to Obadiah, the more likely you are to find hidden duplicates that need to be uncovered. Now, Korah's, and also understand these are people that need more information. And if you go to his ordinance lists and look, they will tell you, if you click on the box, what it is that needs to be done. I can look at this and say, well, I know what it is. He needs dates and places. But sometimes it's just standardization, things like that. Now, sometimes this is going to require some research. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, then that's somebody you ought to just skip over. But the way I would do it is I would go to Obadiah, and the first thing I would do is start looking for hints and hope that there's some hints there. He's showing he's got a spouse, so I would also go look at the spouse and the spouse's sources and their hints in hopes that there's something that includes Obadiah that will bring things in, along with looking at, the records collection to see if Obadiah will come up with something. Okay, now Cora is one of those that's, okay, let's reserve this and move on. Let's check on her. First, I notice she has no spouse. She has no death date. And so if you could provide a death date, if you can find a spouse, if she has one, and add them into her, those will be good indicators to help locate duplicates. And so that would be a suggestion I would make with this person rather than just jumping ahead and saying, let's reserve it. And try to remember that finding duplicates is just as valuable as doing the person's temple work, especially if you find a duplicate and it already has the work done. You're saving time in the temple that people are going to be duplicating work and not doing work for people that haven't been done yet. And so this is really an important thing to do. And it's not really a negative. You're doing something almost as important as getting the temple work done for somebody. Almost, not quite as much, but almost. Okay, if you're having trouble finding people, and I think you'll find that in LDS lines. I found that with mine, that the LDS lines that I have, and I only have a quarter of my family, have many less names available. In fact, you can see it on this chart. This section right in here is my LDS lines. And you can see that even in these generations, there's nothing, absolutely nothing to do. My 1, 2, 3, 4 generation back has very few. And then when you get back to the 5th generation, you start seeing some that you can do. Whereas my Given side of the family, it was not LDS until my grandfather joined the church, my grandfather here. And so there's a lot more names available there. So you will find situations like that. So what do you do when you're not really finding much? Well, there's some ways to work around it. When you don't see many people, then you can always go to a different couple, or you can pick someone else to move to the center position. So I went over to this couple that only has 4. It's my great-great-grandfather. And I moved him to the center of the chart. And now that opens up and I can see there's more people back up in here that have large numbers. And so I'll have plenty of people that I can work from there. Now, what I found in this case, when I went and looked at the Robertson link here, even though it has 100, there was only one person in that whole list that had a green temple ready for baptism work. I was looking for some work for my grandkids. And so there was only one that was a pure green, and there were 3 that were shared with the temple. So even out of that 100, there were only like 4 people there. So that wasn't a lot. So I went to one of the people in that descendancy, the one that had the green, and said, okay, she shows that she's ready. Oftentimes, you'll find others in the immediate family that are in the same situation. So I click on that little descendancy link, and that opens up a new screen with 4 generations of Nancy's descendants. And because where you find one, you're going to find others. That often happens. And I found 4 others that needed baptisms and weren't reserved. So counting Nancy, I found 5 people that had never been reserved at all. So it went from 1 when I was working on this descendancy to when I was working on her descendancy, I had 5. So that's why I say you can often find more by going to one of the people that shows that they need their work done and look at their descendants and see if there's more hidden there. Okay. Do you still need ordinances ready? That might be a question in your mind, because by using this, you're going to probably start building up a list of names in your reservation list. And this is a little portion of my reservation list. It had 200 names in it at the time. You can go straight to your ordinance list anytime from the tree app, or find your My Reservation list on FamilySearch.org and pick people to take to the temple. But if you don't have a computer available, you can always go to Ordinances Ready. It's found on the tree app. It's found in some of the other apps. And so it's easy to locate Ordinances Ready from anywhere and pull the names up that you want. So Ordinances Ready can be a good companion with this. Use this program to make the reservations and then pull up names using Ordinances Ready, because the first place Ordinances Ready is going to look at is your reservation list. If they don't find anything there and you have a family group, it will then go to your family group to see if you have some that you've marked to share there before it goes out and starts looking at stake and ward members and your extended family and so on. So Ordinances Ready can still be used with this to a very good use. Okay, so let's demonstrate this. Green Temple people. Here's a way you can see how you can fall into a rabbit hole. So I'm looking in my Givens family and I find John Givens ready to go. And I'll look at his family, his person page, and sounds good. Born in 1865 in the US, that's kind of funky, and died in Manhattan, which is kind of unusual for my family because they were mainly out in the West or in the South. So right there made me kind of wonder. And so here's how he fit into the family, date-wise and everything. There seems to be a problem right off the bat. He's born 12 years before his parents were supposedly married. And they were married in Missouri, and he was born in the US. We don't know where that is. And he's not on the 1880 census for this family. I'd sourced that census on it. And the source that he has lists him as a Black individual and not Anglo. See, I have the one source for him is a New York City municipal death record. Now, his father is William Givens, and his mother is Maggie, which could be Margaret. It doesn't say what her last name is, so the parents' names match up well. The trouble is his birth date was 12 years too early. He is listed as race Black, and he died in New York. And so this is not my John Givens. So I had to just ignore that one. Actually, I had to take him out of the family and give him another set of parents with the right names. Okay, here's another green temple. Alvine or Alivane is the wife of my second cousin twice removed. So she's not too far removed from me. And it shows her married to Arthur. They were married in 1901. They had a child, Martin, in 1903. And her parents are John Butner and Selena Beek. Okay, so everything looks pretty good. Her marriage record provided her age and parents, so that's where they came from. The 1910 census verified her age and showed the child who's been shared with the temple and needs baptism and confirmation work done. I couldn't find any more about the family at FamilySearch, but I did find her death certificate at Ancestry. And everything agreed out, and that it shows her father's name is John Butner, mother unavailable, which means she probably died young. And then it gave her birth date and death date. And so we were able to, fill her information out. Her married name is Lowry. And I don't think Arthur's mentioned on this particular document, unfortunately. He said she was divorced. So they were divorced at that time, so he wasn't going to be mentioned on there. So with all that, I was able to submit her with no problem. Okay, I was looking on another list, and I came across two entries next to each other, both showing green. The only thing is they're both mentioned as the spouse of Lewis Gray, and they sure look like they're probably the same person. The thing that's interesting, of course, is they're both green temples. So if I even have to merge them, that's fine, because there's still going to be a record that needs to be done, more than likely. I was able to find her on Find a Grave with a nice little biography, the picture of it, the verification of the dates for the bottom one for Rebecca Ann. And so it was pretty easy just to go ahead and merge Rebecca into Rebecca Ann, and we had a name that was ready to be done. Okay, now the ones that need more information can be a little trickier. So how should we approach these people? Okay, this is what I would suggest. This is a checklist that was provided by FamilySearch. They say first thing you want to do is verify if the person really exists. And you'll get that through doing some of these other things. But always in the back of your mind, just think, okay, is this person a real person to begin with? Okay, check ordinances so that you can see what the ordinances say needs to be done. Because they're marked yellow, that means there's more information needed. And when you go to that person's ordinance list, it's going to tell you what it is that FamilySearch is suggesting. You want to make sure the person fits into the family. Are they living in the same area? Are they the same age, the right age to fit into this family? Look for things where it makes them look like they really don't belong. Seek out their birth, marriage, and death dates and places. Always remembering the more you find out about the person, the more likely you are to be able to find duplicates, or to at least verify that they really exist. Make sure that everything is standardized, all the dates and places, and do your searching for duplicates on your own. Don't just trust FamilySearch. Now, if the person's still in the family after you've done all that, and their work needs to be done, and you've avoided the duplicates, you're ready to submit names. So that's kind of the thing that I would suggest. Okay, so here's an example. We've got Bob Robert, his real name, like me. He's married to a Mary Emma, who I don't show on the screen, but she's there. And they both had identified duplicates. Remember, the thing said, this program said they wouldn't show you names that had duplicates that had been identified. Well, in this case, they did. So we went through and we merged them. And after the merging, he still needed some birth information, because the other record for Bob Ferguson didn't have his birth either. And so his record had one source, Find a Grave. That provided the death year, 1929. It didn't show a birth on it, just that he died such and such a time. Well, we found his obituary mentions that he had a daughter, Mary Hull, and that he was 73 in 1929. Located in records. We were then able to create a birth date for him. And that took us to the 1910 census where we knew he would be alive. And it said that he was found in Severs, Oklahoma, and it showed that he was born in North Carolina. So now we had a year of birth, approximate year of birth, and a state, and a death date. And so we could search historical records. We also found a duplicate record of him and merged it with our version of him. And where we started out with just Bob Ferguson and his wife, we were able to, after the merges, have a more complete family. And the odd thing was, but it's okay, there were no available ordinances at that point. The baptisms and confirmations were done, and the others were reserved, but not shared. Somebody had gone in and reserved the other ordinances that were available in this family, but they didn't share them. So essentially, there's no ordinances to do. But he's not a needs information person anymore, at least. Okay, another needs more information, family. It wasn't the parents, it was the kids. Martha, Jane, and William both are just people that say deceased. So we looked at the 1900 census, and for this family, for Nathaniel and Charlotte, we found them. And it was interesting because on the 1900 census, it mentions for the wife how many children they've had, how many children she has had, and how many are living. And she said she had 3 children. We have 3, none living. So if these are the 3 children that are mentioned in 1900, that means Martha and William are dead by 1900. We know Samuel was because he was a little child that died at the age of 2. Okay, going back in time to 1880, which had not been sourced to this family, we found William, age 15, born in Missouri. So that put him about 1865 in Missouri. That's where they married. Everything's looking good so far. In 1870 census, 15 years after they got married, there's a Jenny, age 14, Martha Jane, Jenny, born in Missouri, and Willie, age 5, born in Missouri. So everything's fitting in good there. Went to find a grave when we were looking at Martha Jane and found out that she married a True, and her find a grave is Martha Jane True, giving her full birth and death date, and the death date was before 1900. And it named her parents, Nathaniel and Charlotte, and it showed a marriage license from 1873 in Colorado, where she married James P. True. So on the 1880 census, just floating around, we finally found the census for Nathaniel and Charlotte attached to another family. And so we needed to merge that other family in with this family. The 1870 census, like I had said before, had not been attached at all. So we went ahead and sourced it, and that started building more details up on our kids. And then the end result was that we ended up reserving all the work for Martha and William, plus the sealing to parents of Samuel to his parents, which had not been done, and then reserved the work for James P. True. So again, whenever you see one needs to be done, there's often others. And so this is what the family looked like after we had gone through all of it. And it looks a lot nicer than it did before on the kids because the kids look much more complete. We still hadn't found William's death date. We just know he died before 1900. Okay, so as a wrap up, this is a great tool. It really does help simplify things. And I think you'll find A lot of people that have a little background in FamilySearch are going to really grab this one and run with it. It does a great job of identifying the people that need ordinances. Remember to review them before you reserve them. Do the people exist? Do they fit into the family? Find their birth, marriage, and death information if you can. Standardize dates. Search for duplicates. Use it wisely. Don't go reservation crazy. Only reserve what you need. Consider reserving the ordinance you want right now and not others. Teach your family how to use it. And then remember, reserve with this tool can have their ordinances accessed through Ordinances Ready, so that you don't have to go back to the web page to figure out what you want to reserve. You can just go then to your Ordinances Ready, probably on your phone, and be able to pull names. So great, great program. If you like this presentation and you're new to us, understand we have a channel on YouTube, Fresno North State Family Search Center Trainings. Easiest way to do is just search for Fresno North State and it will most likely come up. If you use the little, and there's like, it says here there's 90. With this video, it makes 91 videos. So there's quite a library of videos here. And you can access them just by clicking on them and they'll all go live for you. If you go to this little blue link by my mouse here, this is our blog where I put a page up for each of these presentations. And on there, there's also the link to the video, but a second link is there, which is a link to a PDF document of the slides so that you can go into the slides, do whatever you want with them as far as that goes. But it'll allow you to review the presentation without going through it with a live presentation like this. And then again, if you like us, subscribe and click like to the video. These things just help me get the information out to more people. So until next time, enjoy working in FamilySearch, and we'll see you soon in 2 weeks.